Well, for tonight's climate check, today marks the first official climate emergency day. Yeah, you've probably seen this. Activists gathering at the big clock in Union Square at high noon to call attention to registering 7 years and counting down. What does that mean? It means they turn that clock down a year. Now we have 7 years to keep global warming below 1.5 degrees Celsius. And today is recognized across the globe. It's not just a New York thing, pressuring government leaders to keep their climate pledges and transition away from fossil fuels. Activists at today's rally say the world cannot afford to wait.
Today, July 22nd, is Climate Emergency Day, and it is the day in which the climate clock ticks down from 7 years to 6 years. And so this is a day for all of us to really reckon with what the meaning of that is and recommit ourselves to taking action in the next year.
We are calling on President Biden to officially declare a climate emergency. 100 million Americans are suffering under extreme heat conditions this week. It was 115 degrees Fahrenheit in Wichita Falls, Texas.
This is really significant because 6 years, it sounds like it's a lot of time. It sounds like we have years and years to spend taking action and writing policy, and we do. It's true. We have 6 years, and in that time, a lot can be done, which is really hopeful and a really great thing to think about. But it also, we've been fighting this fight for 50 years.
They've been fighting the fight for 50 years. Activists also say this week's heat wave here in the city and around the world is a perfect example of why climate change must be taken seriously. And with that, let's bring in our chief meteorologist, John Davitt. You know, John, this is a sample of the... Yeah, they gave us this climate clock. Yep. And it's an indication. It was 7 years and it's moving along.
Yeah,
so
it's a big moment to go below 7 years.
Yeah. And they explained how this clock is not just in Union Square.
Right. It's in Rome, it's in Glasgow, it's in Seoul, Korea. So, you know, everybody around the world is watching this. And, you know, it's a little ominous to get under 7 years. But this clock is great because it really gives us a sense of urgency.
Right.
And, you know, it makes it more real because we talk about Climate on Live at 10 every night. But to see a countdown of how far we have to go to make these decisions about what we're going to do with our planet is definitely vital.
And we're in the grips of a heat wave, as I said, and it's not just in New York City, it's not just in the United States, the world is on, it feels like it's on fire. In some place, quite literally.
Well, absolutely, And London's the big one. London just happened this week. It was the hottest day they've ever had, 104 degrees.
Oof.
I mean,
and it's normally about 70s.
Yeah, mid 70s is the normal high. So that's 30 degrees above normal. So that's not just a hot summer day. That is above and beyond. These are what we're calling heat spikes. So if that happened here in New York City, it would have been 116 degrees.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, the hottest we've ever been in our history, and our history goes back to the 1800s in terms of weather records, is 106 degrees. So this is above and beyond. And here's the tipping point that we're talking about. Now we've got to make our decision. This is the time. Are we going to keep it at 1.5 degrees C of warming, or is it going to be more? And the differences between 1.5 and 2 are really stark. When it comes to heat, we're talking about 14% of the Earth exposed to severe heat once every 5 years. But if we just go to 2 Celsius, we're talking 37%. So in just that short little window of 1.5 to 2 C, you're talking about so many more effects. So, you know, hopefully this wakes people up to, you know, we got to make changes and we got to make them now.
And we got to make them now. We'll check back soon on the final days of our heat wave, we hope. Okay, we'll check back shortly, John.